Steve here, Offroad Grind, and we are going to be replacing the entire brake system on the 4Runner. Pretty excited. I've been meaning to do this for a while. Stay tuned. We're going to go through the entire process. So I've noticed on the brakes they pulse a little bit, or actually a lot sometimes when they've been working for a while. We go to Colorado a fair bit, and when we're in the mountains and this rig is loaded up with all our gear and the rooftop tent, which is here, but I can't get it on the roof because I've got like this much clearance from the roof rack to the opening here. But I've been meaning to replace these brakes. I know when I take it up into the air, when I move the tires, I'll show you that later, they just don't move very well. I feel like they're always on. This is a 4th gen, it's 2007, so probably the original brake system. I've taken them apart so many times to clean them, grease the pins and the slides, and still just, they stick. I'm gonna replace the entire brake system. The rotors, the calipers, the pads obviously, and then the hoses. We're gonna get all that done. And I'm going to work on the front first. I'm going to take you through the entire process. So for the most part, I've got 5th gen. I picked 2010. 5th gen parts. I'll put a list of everything that I got in the description. But we're going to go with 5th gen rotors, and brake pads obviously are the same for 4th and 5th gen. And 5th gen calipers for the front. For the back, we're going to go with 5th gen calipers as well. But we're going to go with the 2007 4th gen rotors because they are a slightly different size, and I've heard some people complaining about the sizing being off if you go with the 5th gen rotors and try and fit them into that back hub system. So here's all the stuff. We're going to do a complete brake line flush afterwards. And I thought I was getting uncoated rotors, but these are sweet. Brand new zinc coating on them. So I'm going to show you all that more specifically as we go along. Pretty excited to get this in and see how it performs. We'll be back in a bit. So I got the back wheels jacked. I'm going to jack up the front, pull these wheels off. I'm going to take advantage of having the tires off too and rotate them. Okay, so we've got the driver's side front calipers all removed, and now we're just going to work on the passenger side. So I just hit some PB Blaster on the little hardline bolts here, or nuts, banjo bolts maybe? I don't know. I don't think I needed to. Pretty lucky here in Houston. I just don't have any rust anywhere on here, so it works really, really well for getting access to things. So there's got maybe 1/4 of an inch of oil in there from the first wheel there, and these will just drip a little bit. Okay, I'm not going to pop that back in. There's a little collar on here I can get a wrench on, so I'm going to pop this off. So clip. And the hoses came with clips, but I think these are nicer actually, so I'm going to shave these. There's a little flat area on there I can grip onto right there, and then back that out. Same on that. I'm going to loosen that bolt if I can. Yeah, okay, so we're just working on the top nut here as well. So I'm going to undo that. Once that's loose like it is now, so that's loose, So I'm going to undo this bolt here so I can get access to this clip, because I can't really pull it off when it's facing that way. So I'll just spin this back around, pop that off, change out the lines, and get a pair of pliers or a wrench for those. Just levering it off the top of the hose seems to work. There you go. And it'll clip. So it's going to take this top hard line off the old hose, pop a new hose on there right away so it doesn't drip too much. Okay. There we go. Just putting this bracket back in, and then I'll tighten up that top. I don't know what that's called. A little screw nut. Oh, Andrew, I don't know what it is. A little 10 mil. Screw that down. Cool. Okay, so that's done. That's got to go through here. There's little flat sections that go onto the bracket, so you want to make sure those are in the right spot. I got to take this caliper off first, and then put this in. And then put this in, this is loose, and then I'll tighten that up. It seems to work better. So I'll put that there. Don't need that. Okay, and that's a 17 mil bolt on the back. These pads are so tight. Okay. And on here, you'll see, I'll show you on this side. So this is the caliper, the brake pads. On the inside at the bottom, there's a little wear indicator, a little piece of metal. So when I show you the new brake pads, where is it? This one here, you can see it down there. The bottom is going to go on this side like that, and the driver's side, it was opposite, so you want to make sure that you get the right one in. So pay attention to that. Okay. And I can see that I'm lucky on this side as well, because that rotor is going to pop right off. Sweet. So nice not having to worry about rust. Okay, so I'm going to clean these off because it looks like I've got some anti-seize that's sort of leaked down onto the threads, but I want thread locker on there. So I'm going to clean those off before I start putting anti-seize on this back plate here. I'm going to clean it off. Actually, I'm going to brush some of this crud off on the back first. And just be careful. Put the dust, I think. I'm going to throw some anti-seize on here. Just grab this from AutoZone, I think. Just going to try and keep a nice thin, like very light coating on here. Avoid the threads. The rotor, I'm going to clean with brake cleaner. These just come with a lot of oil on them to stop them from rusting. So I want to make sure you clean all this crap off. I'm going to put my wheel spacer back on. I'm going to hit it with some red Loctite though. And these screws here, if you have trouble getting your rotors off, these screws here, they look like M6s, I think. You're going to be able to put a bolt through there and just crank it evenly and it'll pop that rotor off. Or you can hammer it from the back. Okay, Loctite. Oh, I want to hit a bit of anti-seize on this face as well. Just a smidgen. So as you can see, these are hard to torque down right now because there's no brake to hold them. Now, I'm going to work on this clip here. So I'm going to get this in once we get the caliper on. So the new caliper is here. Don't throw the bag out because you need that little guy, little retainer clip. So the bolt holes go on the inside and they just line up with the bolts back there. So we're just going to use the same ones from before. I'm going to crank these down. There's 90 psi, or 90 foot-pounds, sorry, psi. Duh. Okay. Now, I'm going to be pulling these pins out to put the brake pads in. Okay, that's good. Yeah, it's a nice big rotor. Sweet. Okay, so there's a little retained clip for these ones. The other standard, the OEM clips were just little, if you can see that, they're just little, like, snips of wire, but these look like they're longer. So I'm going to actually pop some grease down, actually ultra lube brake parts of lubricant here. Just going to put it on the tracks, on the mating surface there of the pistons, and then on the slide pins here where the brakes are going to go. Put those on now. Just little metal surfaces right in here. So I'm just getting some grease on there because that's where the brake pads are going to sit and slide back and forth on there. So you can just see the grease in there. I'm going to put some on the pins here as well once we get the brake pads in. So these pins, wires just pop out. And then this one is a little tricky. We're just going to go in like that. Like that, underneath that little pin. Okay, so as I mentioned, this little noise maker here when the brake pads get too low goes on the inside at the bottom. So it's going to go like that. It's going to slide right in there. And then the other one, these little holes go on the outside for the pins. Okay, and this is going to go, show you that. So this little wire is going to go on the outside of the brakes, this piece here, and then this is going to be on the inside. So you want to push this in inside the brake pads, because it's going to, this spring is designed to push the pads out like that. Oops. And actually, I'll put that grease on in a second. So then what I usually do is just grab a pair of pliers and bend this in. And down until it gets that. I'm going to push this back because this little clip has got to go on top of the brakes. Like that. Same thing with this side. If you push it into the middle, you can get the angle on it, and then pull this back out so the clip comes back over top, and then that stops this spring here from hitting the rotor. And then these guys, darn. And these guys just go into these holes. There, like that. So everything's secured. Crazy that that's all you need for your brakes. Okay, and then it's going to pop a little bit of grease in these little sections here. Is it grease? Lubricant? I don't know what it's called. There we go. Okay. So that's good. Let's get that hard line back together. You'll see what I mean in a second. If that's loose, it's a lot easier to finagle in. So this is going to go in here like that. And that's going to go through there. Once I get those in, then I can do this clip up. So I'm just going to screw these in and I'll be back. There we go. Okay, so we want this little ridge. Where is it? This little ridge there, facing out, and I had it facing in. And it felt weird going on, but I didn't pay attention. Okay, tap that in a second. Okay. better. Okay, now we're just gonna tighten up these little bolts. I think it said 22 pounds for the banjo bolts. I guess that's what these are. I feel like I can go harder, but I'm sure I'll rip it, so that's not good. Okay, so that's good. So, brakes are on. Okay, we are on to the back. So I've got the wheels off, switched over the jack stands, pop these wheel spacers off, and that's the wrong socket. Okay, where is it? Get these guys out and I'll be right back. Okay, on the back we've got a slightly different hose. We've got like a little different collar here for the hose. It's going to fit in under the brake caliper here and then wiggle around to the front. Over here I've already replaced the other middle hoses with some extended brake lines. So same thing here, we're going to undo this bolt, get that fluid out of there, and then we're going to pop this caliper off, and hopefully these rotors come off as easily as the front did. Yeah, that makes sense. It would be a 14. Okay. Okay. Not too tight. It's good. Already dripping. I would imagine because of the length of the hose here, it's probably going to be a little more fluid coming out of the back. Save that. Okay. And the same as before, I'm going to undo these guys. These little screws, all the brackets in place. Usually a lot easier to get them undone. And I have a 10 mil flare wrench somewhere, and I will find it as soon as this is all done, I'm sure. But I can't find it today. Okay, let's get that clip out. This seems to work well, just levering it off that collar. Tap. Tappity tap. Cool. Okay. So I'm just looking at the angles of this one here. And these two are kind of opposite each other, so I'm going to go with this one for that side. And put that in place right now. Try and stop some of that dripping. There we go. Okay, put that clip back. Wanted to stop that from dripping all over my axle. I don't care if it's dripping. I just don't want it dripping on my paint. I'll wash that off later. Okay, so I will somehow. Oh, that'll work. Nice. Perfect. Okay, so that's good. I'll pop these caliper bolts off. I think that's the 17 I had on before. Yes. Okay. This one. 2. Okay. Not too hard so far. Top, bottom. Cool. Okay, so we've got the whole bracket in the back as well with these. So let me take that off. I would imagine it's a 17 as well. Okay, so that's all out. I'm going to clean that up. See if this pops off like the fronts did. Oh yeah, it's moving, that's good. And if you've got your emergency brake on, you're going to have to take it off because you'll never get your rotor off the parking brake. I'll clean this hub off here, it's a little rusty. I'm going to put some anti-seize on here after I clean that up a bit more. With this little rubber scrubber. And then I'm going to get going with this thing. These actually look pretty darn good. You saw me clean rotors before, not that exciting. So I'm going to clean these back rotors and wipe this down, put some anti-seize on here, and I'll be back. Where's that rotor? Okay, here we go. Is there any particular way this goes? There's a lot of holes on there. Why is there so many holes? Okay, well, it fits. That's a good sign. There we go. Put this on. So I just popped the emergency brake on to lock this hub up, and then I can torque these actually to spec. So it's 84 pounds, so I can do that without having to get brake fluid back in the line, so that's cool. So I will do that right now and come back to reinstall the caliper. Okay, so we're getting these little 17 mil bolts back in. Okay, well, got those all bolted back in, and pop these bolts out. Man, they really crank those in at the factory. Okay. Get those brake shoes out, or in rather. Pop that out. slowly. Okay. And just like on the front, I am going to grease up these little tracks. I'll show you those. Each side, top and bottom. These would have been easier to put in before I put this bracket in. Okay, I decided that these clips are not working. So these are the clips that came with the brake pad, the calipers. These are the clips that came with the brake pads. So these are Akabono pads. These are too narrow for the slider. And so I'm gonna pop these off. Got the bottom one off already. Let's try that. Already looks better. Gotta get that clip in there. There we go. Okay, that looks better. Yeah, nice. Okay, and I need to grease that still. Dang it. Okay, so I'm gonna change the clips on the other side, grease those little tracks here, pop these back in, and then I'll get this rotor caliper back on. Okay, what a difference. Much nicer. They're actually moving, which is great. Is that clip still in? Yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, those are good. Happy with that. Okay, we're actually almost done this side. Took everything off like I did before. Put the rotor back in, cleaned out the emergency brake area. Actually put a little bit of spray lube inside the mechanics there. Did not do that on the other side, but hopefully keep some rust away and keep those springs working properly. And then some anti-seize, as you can see on here. Put some thread lock on the wheel spacers, torqued those down, put the emergency brake on, then took it off. Got the bracket in, already replaced the clips, put some of the grease or molly brake lube that came in with the Akabono brake pads. That's good. Torque these back bolts down for the bracket to 90 psi, and we're just about to put the brake pads in. And I found if you can just put this inside edge in first, get those clips that are on that metal plate in behind the brake clips, and then just push them, especially now that they're the proper size. They just pop right in, so that's good. And then, so I don't have to jack around like I did on the other side. Same thing here. Just pop the inside edge in first, get in behind those clips, and then pop the bottoms in, or the outside edge, so that we're good. And then I got the little rubber boot here, but it's also on the other one. And so go in here, pop that on there, and I'm gonna throw a little bit of, oh, there's already some lube on there. Yep, we're good. Sweet. Okay, just pop these bolts off and slide that in there. Like so. Put this one in first. It's already got the clip, or the little dust boot in place. There Okay, I found these in the brake cable set as I was cleaning up, and I think this is my problem for not getting enough fluid coming out as I'm trying to bleed the rear brakes. Because this bolt, I believe, is different than the one that's in there, and I looked at the collar inside the old bolt, and there's like a track in there so that I could see letting the fluid around. I don't think that's in the new one, because I think the track is in the bolt. So I am going to take the banjo bolt end of that rear brake line out on each side, and that's going to suck because it's going to make a mess. But I'm going to do it, and I'm going to clean it all up. Dang it. Here we go. Okay, time to put the right banjo bolt into this little brake line, and that's going to make a world of difference for bleeding it, I'm sure. Don't need that or that. Okay. You just need to get in there nicely. Okay, now do the bleeder again. Pop this off. Let the air come through that. So we're on gravity here, so this is just going to slowly press brake fluid through the system, fill up the reservoir. I guess all that air that snuck into the line when I undid this banjo bolt, we got to fill that back up with brake fluid again. So just leave this open until I start to see drips. And then I'm going to hook up the siphon again, do the back right, back left, front right, front left. I think we're going to be good. Here we go, starting to drip here. So we're good there. Okay, let's do some siphoning and do that process again. Back wheels are all done, both sides, and I'm going to bleed them with the tires off. Start with the back right here, then go to the driver's side, rear, then the passenger side. It's already turned out the wheel, so it'll make it easier for me to get to the bleeder screw. And I'll just start the engine up, whip the tires around, do the left side, and I'm gonna be done. I'm excited. See if I did a good job. It all works. Okay, and I'm rotating the tire. So put the spare on the right rear. So what's there, put that to the right rear, and then we're going to put the right rear to the front right, and then the front right is going to go down to the back left is going to go up to the front left, and then the front left tire is going to go onto the spare tire carrier. I keep rotating that. I also have to change the oil, but anyways, get these brakes done first. Let's get at it. So this is the So this is the brake bleeder set that I got from Harbor Freight. If you don't have a Harbor Freight near you, you can always order it online, or I'll find something that's very similar and pop that in the description from Amazon or something like that. Lots of options out there. This wasn't that expensive, so like 30 bucks, I think. It's going to do the job. You want to make sure that you've got the right brake fluid for your vehicle. So my 4Runner takes .3 brake fluid. I think there's a .4. I would imagine there's a .1 and 2. I don't know. And so what I've got for this is I'm going to put this in the refill bottle, which is, where is that? Just had it out. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I'm going to put the brake fluid in here. I'm going to choose the appropriate adapter. We figure that out now. So you've got the brake fluid master cylinder here, and I've got to choose the appropriate opening. I think these might be too small, actually. It seems to be okay. Hope that's going to work perfectly. Okay, good. And so you want to put something in there that's going to fit in and secure this bottle. Is this one over there? Seems a little small. Okay, so we're going to screw this on here, this way, and then fill this full of brake fluid. Close it off first. Okay, that's cool. And then this is going to just go in there like that. Secure the bottle. Okay. And once that's filled with fluid, then I can put that in here, open the valve, and that'll allow brake fluid to continually flow into the master cylinder as I'm draining it out of the bleeder valve, which I'll show you in a second. So let me go fill this up. I'll be right back. Okay, we got this full of brake fluid, so I'm just gonna pop this cap on there. And brake fluid is really nasty for painted surfaces, so don't get any of this on your car. Okay, so valve is closed, this is on tight. This is just gonna go upside down like that in the master cylinder. Turn this valve around this way. Okay. And that seems like it's gonna be a little tippy, so I'm going to wire that. Come on. How hard can this be? There we go. Okay. So we're going to open that. So now I'll have fluid constantly flowing into. I'm not happy with how that looks. So I'm going to have fluid constantly flowing in here. So as I bleed the brake system, the fluid's going to drain out of the master cylinder and then down to each brake caliper. And then this is going to go down. So I'll just keep coming back to check on that. Okay, so let me finish securing this a little bit better than this horrible job here. And then we'll go back to the bleeder valve, or bleeder system. Okay, here's the other part of the brake bleeder system. We've got the siphon container here that's going to hook up to the bleeder valve right here, or the nipple on the brake caliper. So I'm going to pop that on there, hook up the air line, air compressor to here, and I need to put a little fitting on that because it didn't come with one, so I've got one here. Just a little I think there's industrial air nozzle. That's going to screw into here. I'm going to throw some Teflon tape on there first, create a good seal, and then it says create some air pressure in the bottle to create the vacuum. So like 2 turns of this stuff, and then we're going to fill this up by opening up the bleed valve, but I'll show you that in a second. So let me get this all hooked up to my air compressor, and it says between 90 and 120 psi. So I can do that. I can be right back. Pop this little cap off, and first I have my oil pan. So empty this container into the oil pan. Once it gets filled up, and pop this on there. So this creates a vacuum by depressing this trigger. To do that, I'll just pop this on first. I was going to loosen the screw and then put this on, but let's just put it on right from the beginning. Passenger side. So we're getting some really good flow through that. That, but just a constant flow of fluid. So actually, I wonder if there's air coming into this nipple here that attaches to the bleeder valve. So I'm going to just close that off for now and then go over to the driver's side. Okay, I think I got it. Went around a few times, back right, back left, front right, front left. Just kept doing that order. Got the master reservoir, master cylinder thing filled up with brake fluid. Got the cap on. I'm gonna put the wheels on the back, and I'm gonna jack up the front, pop those wheels off, tighten up the wheel spacers so I don't forget, and then torque all the wheels down. And then I'm just going to test the brakes. I can still bleed them. This truck is so lifted, it's so easy to get on and underneath it. So I'll be able to get in there and bleed the brakes later. And if this siphoning system that I've got is not really working, then when Michelle gets home, I'll have her pump on the brakes, and we can do the old-fashioned way of press, 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 hold, and then open up the bleeder valve, let some fluid out, and just keep doing that. I think I'm close. I might already be there, but if not, I think I'm really close. Okay, I can see the brake fluid coming through very nicely now, so that's good. Oh yeah, perfect. That's a steady stream of brake fluid coming through here now. I'm going to do that on the back left, front right, and front left, and see how that works. Steve here, Offroad Grind, and it's been about a week now since we've had the brakes into the system. So happy with them. I think they're working great. I didn't get Michelle to help me with the regular pump, hold and bleed them out. They're working great. The one thing I do want to do is the emergency brakes eventually. I got the kit finally, the hardware kit. I got the emergency brakes and the hardware kits around here somewhere. Came yesterday, so I'm going to go in, but I got to pull the rotor off and the wheel spacers and the calipers and to get the rotor off in order to access the adjustment hole that's in behind where the emergency brakes are. I want to tighten them up a little bit because they're not really gripping a whole lot. Alternatively, I'm going to go in through the center console inside the truck and tighten up the cable. I think that might be a little loose. But anyways, the brakes are working great, stopping it a lot more. There's a lot of steel on this truck. You can tell from the bumper, roof rack. It's gonna have a rooftop tent on there when we go camping. Skid plates, rock sliders, big cabinet in the back with all our camping cooking gear on it. So awesome that we got those in for less than $1,000 doing it yourself. That's, I think, a great thing. It's not complicated. Toyota makes it so simple to put brakes in and service them. So I'm not a mechanic. Check all your stats that you're doing, your torque settings for when you're putting us all together. Do some research, make sure that what I'm telling you is going to work for you. It worked for me. It's working great. I'm so excited that I did it. And it's one of those big items that's on my list that I got checked off, so I'm pretty happy about that. Anyways, thanks for watching. I love putting stuff together, so there's going to be more videos coming. If you want to subscribe, that's awesome. Put your notifications on. That would be great. Like the video. Or give me some comments if you have any questions or things that you think I could do better. Always open for advice and information. So have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. It's weekend here. And have fun in your truck.